I'll start by stating one of my biggest observations. Most men shouldn't try to date or pair up with older women. There, I said it. This is not a criticism of older women. I am actually attracted to older women. Reese Witherspoon still looks great. Nor is this about ethics. I don't believe it's wrong to date older women. However, in my experience, older women really do not prefer dating younger men. I know many older men can date younger women, but in my experience, women are generally opposed to it. Their attraction triggers seem to have the opposite effect compared to men. Of course, there are exceptions. If you are legitimately dating an older woman right now, she's only a few years older, or you already know she likes you, then you can ignore this. Story 1. People should focus more on finding a good person and working on the relationship rather than finding the perfect person. I think dating applications and modern dating culture have made people believe there are plenty of fish in the sea and that they should just move on if the person or the relationship is not perfect. I am not saying you should settle for someone awful or stay in a really bad relationship, but some people are too focused on finding their soulmate or some imaginary perfect relationship. Story 2. I personally didn't think it was unpopular until I got pushback from quite a few colleagues. Anyone who spends most of their time on social media or the internet is usually fairly clueless about what dating and relationships entail. This applies to both genders. These groups are convinced that what they see and hear online shows what a partner and relationship look like, and they build their standards around this. However, this creates many issues such as unrealistic standards, unhealthy relationship dynamics, thinking something rare is actually common, and placing priorities on the wrong or less important aspects of a partner. The issue is usually the blind leading the blind or miserable people trying to sell their lifestyle to others. Some things I am surprised by include men who are in the top percentage, 6 feet or taller, make over 6 figures, are good looking. Each individual category is rare, much less all combined in a single person. Women who are okay with their men having multiple relationships or flaunting wealth to attract desirable women. Not only will the first behavior filter out any quality women, but the second would attract the wrong kind of women. There are more examples for both, but that would be a massive tangent. The reality is people need to realize shallow, superficial qualities only get you so far. At the end of the day, you are in a relationship with a human who is largely defined by their personality, not surface-level aspects that often disappear over time. Story 3. A lot of people believe they deserve more from a partner than they are willing to give to them, which is part of the reason why dating is difficult for most people. Story 4. My possibly unpopular opinion about dating is that you should almost never give reasons for rejection, either rejection that comes right off the bat or later on in a breakup. Reasons for rejection can lead to one or both of two things. Negotiation, as the other party tries to see if they can change something to satisfy the reason they were rejected, or a new or intensified insecurity that they have little to no control over but are now insecure about. The only reason I say almost never is because if the reason is that the person is abusive, manipulative, or otherwise hurtful in a way that is not just hurtful to you, then they should know. They should be given an opportunity to change for their next relationship, and the hurt that comes from knowing the reason why is warranted in this case. Story 5. Most people are bundles of repressed emotions unable to take responsibility for their own actions. The good news is they often end up dating people similar to themselves. Story 6. Do not expect them to miraculously change because you are persuading them. If they like sports and videos and dislike being around groups of people, do not expect them to stop. Story 7. Your partner will always have flaws that you may not like, such as their talking style, interests, or social circle. It is easy to wish your partner were different, both internally and externally, but we are all human with pros and cons. The main thing we should hold each other accountable for is whether we are working to improve ourselves and whether we care deeply about each other's feelings and love. Story 8. When I was in my 20s, the most memorable dating experiences I had were with older women. No nonsense, just good times and intimacy. Story 9. The term "I deserve" needs to be removed from the dating process entirely. If no one has to date or love you, you can't and don't deserve anyone. This is not some sort of fair market. Awful people can get others to love them, and some really good individuals have never experienced it. Watching someone in a similar circumstance have a partner while you don't is just the way things are sometimes. The attitude that comparison is the thief of joy, combined with people thinking they deserve another person, are, to me, the greatest reasons people feel depressed about relationships they don't have. This isn't to say you shouldn't try to be the best version of yourself when or if you put yourself out there. Only that the process is not like exercise and working out, where putting consistent energy over time guarantees good results. Dating has never been like that. You can do everything right and still be unsuccessful. Story 10. As much as we dislike them, gender norms can make dating easier for both partners. For example, as a man, being chivalrous, brave, or taking the lead as a problem solver and provider can improve the experience even for the most independent woman. For women, nurturing and leading domestic duties and raising children, not saying it is entirely her responsibility, can make things easier for even the most hands-on modern man. Additionally, many people find gender norms attractive. Most women are attracted to masculine men, and most men are attracted to feminine women. Story 11. Modern dating is heavily influenced by superficiality and societal illusions, making genuine connection difficult. Due to social media and our worlds getting larger through dating apps and internet connections, we always compare what we have to the very best. This means our partners will no longer be satisfied with us if we are satisfied with mediocrity. To find meaningful relationships, we need to prioritize authenticity, self-improvement, and a deeper understanding of human nature beyond surface-level interactions. Story 12. I dated my boss, who was about 14 years older, for a few years. We were very connected and sexually compatible. I was 25, and she was 39. In my opinion, this reflects more generational compatibility. We got along well, hung out, enjoyed dinners and movies, and the sexual chemistry was strong. But what would a 40-year-old woman have in common with a 20-year-old man? Likewise, an 80-year-old woman and a 60-year-old man. That is where challenges might arise. Again, there are exceptions where it works. I understand there are exceptions, but it mostly comes down to the individuals. Story 13. I don't think these are unpopular in real life, but the chronically online types who always complain about the dating scene need to hear them. The 30 to 40-year-old single podcasters are single for a reason. They are role models of how to be a single 30 to 40-year-old. The man who talks about traditional relationships and the good old days all the time is hiding something. They almost always turn out to be abusive or secretly involved. The differences between men and women are lived experiences, not core attributes. The sooner you realize that, the sooner the opposite sex will make sense to you. Story 14. Speaking as a man on Team Guy should pay for the first date, I think where many men mess up is taking women to a place on a first date to do something they would never want to do or never want to go on their own solely to impress her. I am not saying a man should not impress in some way on a first date, but there are more ways to impress than how much you spend on the date. Story 15. Thinking you are too young to settle down, the idea of dating through your 20s to see what you like. Dating only gets harder as you get older. Get out early if you can. Story 16. This whole talking stage is frustrating. Either you are dating or you are not. It has become far too complicated. Story 17. Love this post. I am ready for the downvotes. 1. Most people on dating apps are identical, boring, and shallow. They have the same pictures over and over. Dogs, hiking, Taylor Swift, cocktails in hand, hiking, paragliding. 95% of them are like this. 2. Most people really do not want to meet, so they are 95% waste of time. 3. Most people are incredibly narcissistic, meaning they are on dating apps just to be followed on Instagram or to get likes while staying on the sofa. 4. Most people do not have personality. Story 18. I don't want to date they. I want to date a woman who has always been a woman. I just can't do anything else. I'm glad they can be happy, but I don't want to date them. Story 19:1. Dating applications are not that bad. Dinner dates are terrible first dates if you are just meeting in person for the first time. If you keep attracting the same type of person, that is your responsibility. Story 20. How much older? My girlfriend is 3 years older. We are the same generation and at the same place in life. Dating someone a decade older is a very different situation. Story 21. Marriage satisfaction rates vary between different types of couples and depend on the country in which you live. If I remember correctly, the original poster is correct about this in the United States, but I believe it is different in Australia. Story 22. You do not need to love yourself completely or have everything figured out before dating. It is important to have a baseline level of self-esteem and independence, but many areas of improvement become apparent only when a relationship acts like a mirror. You might be the most self-assured single person, yet there are behaviors and thought patterns about dating and sex you will not learn about until you date a few people. Story 23. Everyone should go on a date expecting to pay exactly their share of the bill, unless one person has specifically invited the other. Story 24. People do not hate the game. People hate manipulation, lying, and future faking, but the game is romance. Story 25. Men need to stop entertaining women who are not attracted to them, and most relationship issues will go away. I have many female friends who have described situations where they deeply resented their partner for not being sexually attractive. You cannot get past that. I do not mean attractive, as in he is so nice to me. I mean attractive in the sense that she follows you into the shower and eagerly shows her desire because she simply cannot get enough. Story 26. I will keep saying it. If the obesity epidemic is eliminated in places like the United States, then the dating market would not be as bad as it is today, and the pornography industry would take a massive hit to its user base. Story 27. I think that often, especially as we get older, I'm in my 40s now somehow, we should initiate physical and sexual intimacy earlier and then see if there's something to build upon, rather than the inverse. For example, I am currently talking to 4 or 5 women. All are single, divorced mothers also in their 40s. I am a completely plain, normal-looking person. I work out 7 days a week, within reason when I have time, and am in pretty good shape. They have all initiated conversations about their desire for physical attention, their sexuality, and their attraction to me. Yet they have also mentioned they are not looking for friends with benefits, one-night stands, or something casual. That is all great. I am not saying that I am either. But they have also stated they are not going to sleep with someone they are not in a relationship with. I understand that as well. But sometimes it is hard for me not to think, if there is mutual physical and mental attraction, why do we have to go through these societal hoops just so one does not feel unnecessary guilt for doing what they desire and what feels good? To be perfectly honest, when speaking casually to many people who are divorced and have often been in bad, abusive, cheating, or dead bedroom relationships, and hearing their stories and giving them an ear, listening to them say they are looking for a long-term relationship before satisfying their desires and cravings makes me think of the saying, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. Story 28. I've dated older with a 19-year difference. It was a fling. We both knew what it was. I was fresh out of a relationship looking for fun, and she wanted to appreciate my youthful vigor. After it ended, she went back to looking for something serious and eventually found someone to spend her years with. I'd like to say we kept in touch, but the reality is that it would have been inappropriate. Easily one of the top 3 sexual experiences in my life. I would do it again. To answer the prompt, my most unpopular dating advice is that men should wait longer to settle. In some aspects, 99% of people settle. I'm sure everyone has things they don't like about their partner but accept because the rest is awesome. However, as men, you have more time to get to 80, if not 90% of what you're looking for. The longer you wait, the better chance you have because you'll know yourself better and understand what you want and what to avoid. Story 29. Anxiously attached people are just as unhealthy as avoidantly attached people, and the only reason they have such great press is that they are easier to sympathize with. Anxious attachment easily leads to abusive and controlling behaviors. An anxiously attached person who refuses to manage their own anxiety pushes all of that onto their partner. In extreme cases, this can manifest as needing hourly check-ins, not allowing you to leave the house without a GPS tracker, searching your phone for evidence of wrongdoing, pressuring you to cut off friends they find threatening, and using their emotional meltdowns whenever your boundaries inconvenience them. Anxiously attached people are also more likely to have done therapy research or actual therapy, which better prepares them to weaponize the language of therapy against their partners. You are unavailable to answer the phone because you went to watch the movie? You owe them an apology for the distress you caused, and your reasons do not matter. In the future, you need to be available to attend to their needs on their schedule, or else you are a bad partner. Avoidantly attached people tend to break up and move on with their lives, while anxiously attached people tend to get dumped and tell the world how unfairly they have been treated. As a result, anxiously attached people get portrayed as victims of covert narcissists instead of manipulative, insufferable individuals who make their partners entirely responsible for managing two people's feelings. Before anyone criticizes me, I am not saying that all anxiously attached people behave this way, but there is a reason why anxious attachment is not considered a healthy attachment style. Story 30. In your opinion, it makes no sense. Men should not bother dating older women because some older women find younger men unattractive. Similarly, men with blonde hair should not pursue white women because some of them find blonde-haired men unattractive. Story 31. It is okay to lose interest if the person you are dating has a high number of previous partners, with the definition of high being up to you. It is also okay to not be attracted to someone and to decide not to pursue the relationship for that reason. This applies to all genders and in all situations. Story 32. Not sure how unpopular it is these days, but I am of the opinion that it just isn't worth it anymore. I say this as someone who only ever wanted to be a good husband and a good father. These were life goals for me from a very early age, and I tried my best to make that happen. Sadly, I wanted it too badly and rushed into it with my ex-wife, who treated me terribly. We had a child, and she treated the child badly. I have been a single father since age 30 and did most of the child-rearing post-divorce. Everyone I have tried dating since has ended badly. I have tried everything I know how, and it still has never been enough. I give and give some more, and it is still not enough to satisfy the woman. I officially gave up when my last girlfriend left after 7 years together. This is not a give up but want you to tell me to keep trying kind of give up. I mean, I am done. Period. End of story. While I am kind and polite to everyone I meet, there is no flirting, no wistful longing, and no lustful engagements. I will talk to anyone, but I pursue no one. From the way things have gone, women seem pretty okay without me in the dating market, which works out fine for everyone. I was an only child anyway, so I am better alone. Story 33. Do not waste your time on someone who does not meet all your requirements. Find someone who shares some of your hobbies and core beliefs. Sometimes, all it takes is voting differently to ruin an otherwise great relationship. Story 34. Meet the parents as soon as you can. The mother is a strong indicator of how your date is going to end up physically in the long term. I have about 15 high school classmates whose mothers died early from being out of shape, and every single one of them is the spitting image of their mother. To make it worse, 9 of them work in the healthcare field and see the results of women who do not take care of themselves daily. Story 35. I don't know, a friend of mine is 25 and his girlfriend is 33, and they seem to be happy. They have been together for 3 years now. Obviously, this is not the rule, but it does work when the conditions are right. My unpopular opinion is that dating applications are a scam and that capitalist hyper-individualism is killing love. Story 36. When you are dating, as in not committed, it is okay to date multiple people. Do not lie, do not say you are exclusive, have fun, and meet lots of people. Story 37. If you are an older virgin, late 20s and up, absolutely do not tell a partner you lack experience. They will judge you for it and most likely lose any sexual interest in you and will not want to deal with teaching someone. Whenever I bring this up on Reddit, someone comments, I am an older virgin and lost it to my current partner, who I am now married to, or I am a woman and I am okay with it. Not everyone is comfortable having one sexual partner their entire life, so the former is a sad ending for me. For the latter, there is a very slim chance that you will meet someone who does not judge you. So unless you want to risk rejection and further damage to your self-worth and confidence on the very slim chance you do not get judged, then do not tell them. I am 32 and speaking from experience. I have dated multiple women, and every single one of them has responded to my virginity by turning me down, either rejecting me, making fun of me, and saying I will always be a virgin, or saying they are fine with it only to change their mind the next day due to a power dynamic. Story 38. I am sure this is not unpopular, but I am not good with hints. I will dress up like Sherlock Holmes for you, but please be direct with me. Story 39. How to attract any woman. Demonstrate your value, engage physically, nurture dependence, neglect emotionally, inspire hope, and separate entirely. Story 40. No need to love yourself before dating. A successful relationship will help you love yourself too. You need someone with a strong connection and someone you are strongly physically attracted to. Story 41. I had many older women try to hook up with me when I was younger, between the ages of 14 and 24. It was usually the older women who made extremely blatant comments that could be considered sexual harassment or thought it was acceptable to touch me randomly. If they were my age or close to it, that almost never happened. I think many older women like younger men and would date them if given the opportunity. There are even many fictional stories created for women with that as a theme. Story 42. I dated an older woman for years. She was 18 years older and it was great. We got along and had an amazing life together. The only thing that separated us was that I had to move for work, and she decided she could not make the move. Life works out. We remained friends, and fast forward 20 years, I realized that the person I would be in a relationship with now is someone I could have had zero physical relationship with before. She has aged. I am sure she is still a really wonderful and amazing woman, but the simplicity of age has taken its toll. Health problems, aging, and life have changed her appearance. She looks nothing like the woman I dated. I realize this happens with everyone, but it really struck me when reading this post that when dating someone older or younger than you are not aging together, so the impact is much harder. Story 43. I feel people are losing out on opportunities by compartmentalizing friendships and relationships. Now I understand why some people would not date a friend, as they are worried about losing a friend if things go wrong. However, I believe people are limiting their options by categorizing others as only to date or only to befriend, and this stops them from letting relationships develop naturally. Or maybe I just see it this way because I am demisexual. Story 44. On a first date, the cost should always be split. After that, take turns paying. No man should have to pay for someone's date regularly. Women have jobs and men have jobs. Unless a woman has children, there is no reason for her not to have a job and share the bills. Story 45. It's easier than people make it out to be. There are countless ways to connect. Go out to bars, get close to classmates and associates, not work colleagues, horrible idea. Attend a singles event, engage in a social hobby, use dating apps, and so on. Getting a date is as simple as determining whether someone is single, then asking if they would be interested in hanging out, and accepting any rejection gracefully. I also don't believe in the whole value and worth propaganda. My dad was and is hideous, yet he got my mother. I have seen various incidents like that. Looks and money are not the be-all and end-all. There are many other factors. As for your comment about older women, I completely disagree. To me, older women are aged 25 to 35, which is literally prime real estate, and many of them will hook up with younger guys. Hooking up with younger people can give individuals, including women, a sense of external validation. Story 46. Every perpetually single friend I have is single because of either personality problems or standards that do not match what they themselves bring to the table, not because of looks or dating applications or other reasons people blame, obviously excluding those who actively do not want to be in a relationship. Story 47. Women need to have realistic standards. If most women were men, they would be considered unsuccessful. Story 48. I moderate a subreddit for older women and younger men relationships. I would not call it an exception. Anecdotally, my wife of 10 years is 15 years older than me. Story 49. Both dates should pay half. Everything is rising in cost. Back in 2018, when I paid for everything, I was spending about $50 per date, sometimes more if I really liked my date. I can't even imagine what the cost is like now. Story 50. I have 3 opinions or things I did when dating which people often seem to oppose for their own reasons. Always for the first date, go somewhere casual or low-key. Get coffee, ice cream, have a picnic in the park, etc. I do this because it is still early days, and you may discover it is not working. This makes it easy to end the date if it does not work out, and nobody has spent a fortune for no reason. Secondly, how a woman reacts when you suggest a coffee date tells you a lot. If she is okay with it, she is more likely to be a good match. If she turns her nose up at it, she is probably more interested in a free meal than romance. Do not date women with blue hair or a septum piercing. This is a stereotype, but based on my experience, it is a stereotype for a good reason. 80% of the time when I dated a girl with blue hair or a septum piercing or both, they were unstable, spouting ideology, usually about the patriarchy, difficult, or all of the above. This is just my opinion, but in my experience, it is more trouble than it is worth. Dating single mothers is more trouble than it is worth. I expect down votes for this opinion, but I know this through experience. First, you will never be a priority to that woman, not even close. While that makes sense, you will still face an uneven dynamic if you enter a relationship. Second, it does not matter how you look at it. You will be playing a fatherly role sooner or later, the provider, protector, and male role model, but without any of the benefits of being the real dad. There are more reasons why, but for me, no, not anymore. I do not care how many times my friends and family have tried to convince me otherwise. Story 51. I am speaking in general terms. Women seek validation, not correction. They want a man who makes them feel perfect. Story 52. I disagree with the original post. I am in my early 40s, and in my 20s, I always dated men who were older than me and eventually married a man my age. Now that I am single again, I never thought about dating younger men until I became more self-aware. Younger men are generally more compatible with me in many ways. They have no kids, a high sex drive, are generally in good overall health, have manageable baggage, and are more likely to prioritize going to the gym than a single father. So I gave it a chance, and it was a good decision for me personally. I try to keep an open mind about age, but so far younger men seem to be more my vibe, and luckily they are usually the ones who approach me. Story 53. Many women believe divorce is almost inevitable, which becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy as they enter marriage with doubts from the beginning. At the first sign of trouble, they think about divorce instead of working on the relationship. This mindset contributes to the high number of divorces among young couples. Story 54. Women have it much worse than men. I understand the challenges men face with dating, but I would take that any day over realizing, wait a minute, this man never actually cared about me. He just wanted to have sex with me. Story 55. I believe that people who complain about how hard it is to find someone have unattainable standards and are setting themselves up for failure. Story 56. The male loneliness trend is not something that a girlfriend will solve for you. You should have more social connections than just a significant other. Story 57. As a teenager, the biggest problem is that people my age think relationships are not serious. I honestly think otherwise. I never saw the point of a relationship if you are not going for marriage or a long-term commitment. Story 58. Ghosting after the first date from the applications is totally acceptable and, in fact, preferable to a message stating, "I did not feel a connection." Simply do not reach out to plan a second date. It is not confusing, and I do not need closure or wonder where we stand. There is no need to extend the conversation with a vaguely awkward message. Story 59. Weird, taking into account that in popular feminism, it is more cringe if a man dates a younger woman, as long as she is of legal age. To answer the question, I would say that dating online is not dating because of unnecessary competition. If you are attractive enough to date a woman, you do not need online platforms. If you are a blend between Homer Simpson and Clancy Wiggum, women will perceive you as mass media perceives the 24 hours of Le Mans or any other motorsports competition apart from Formula One and MotoGP. Story 60. Anecdotally, I know quite a number of couples where the man is younger. Mine included, but it is only 3 years. We met when my wife had an established career and I had not yet settled after graduation, so mentally the gap was significant. Story 61. I don't want to entirely count myself out of dating girls who are less attractive than me, but you should consider dating only girls in your league or higher, never lower. I fell in love with a girl who was not as physically attractive as I am, I wanted to break the league stereotype, so I gave her a chance. In the end, average-looking girls and less attractive girls have the same needs as attractive girls once you are in a relationship. She broke up with me because she got bored after the honeymoon phase ended and is looking for something better. Story 62. If you are an exceptional man, do not accept less than exceptional treatment from women. If you are tall, good-looking, muscular, disciplined, successful, and generally outstanding, why would you accept anything less than absolute devotion from a woman with multiple bad habits who has not accomplished anything in her life? No woman who vapes, watches pornography, or does not work out is going to speak as if she is special. Story 63. There is nothing wrong with dating or sleeping with someone who is 18 or 19 years old. As long as everyone is legal and consenting, it should not be an issue. My girlfriend is almost 25 years old, in case anyone objects. Women may choose whether or not to shave their legs and armpits. I prefer not to date overweight women. Story 64. I am a woman, and while I mostly date women, all of my significant partners of any gender have been at least 5 years younger. This is not a fetish, and I am not predatory. I am simply not concerned about age, and that is how it has worked out. Therefore, I do not agree with this advice, although I understand I am in the minority. Story 65. Older woman and younger man relationships are typically short-term, fun dynamics. Over time, obvious structural issues emerge. The man tends to become more attractive while the woman becomes less attractive. Fertility issues are also part of this dynamic. So, gentlemen, just see the dynamic for what it is. I am not saying do not date older women. They are fun and you will learn a lot, as I did, but these are stepping stone relationships. Story 66. I am 40 years old and married now, but I dated a 36-year-old woman when I was 22. Aside from personal stories, it is also not statistically rare. Story 67. The original poster is not too far off, but this is not really about looks as much as it is about emotions. Typically, younger men are not in the emotional maturity realm that older women, with about a 10-year age gap, are looking for or need in a serious relationship. Fun? Sure. Validation sex? Sure. But long-term settling down material? Not likely. Another unpopular opinion. People need to stop dating just for marriage. Stop entering relationships trying to force them to work because you want to involve the state in your relationship. If it happens down the line, fine. But the idea that marriage is a prize at the end of the journey sets many people up for long-term failure. Story 68. In my experience, there are many advantages to dating a woman a few years older. They are less demanding, and their mindset is often that they feel lucky to be dating you. They provide financial and emotional support that younger women usually cannot. However, when it comes to settling down or marriage, I would still choose a younger woman. My unpopular opinion is that women should be the ones to initiate contact, as they have a much higher success rate. Most men would not turn a woman down, unlike the approximately 50% success rate for men. Story 69. Most women fall for the dentist trick. Sorry, but it's true. Even women who claim, I'm a woman, and I'm strong and a go-getter, often melt like butter when the right guy applies this move. As a man, it's obvious to see when it is being used. Also, most people date only to have sex with each other. I firmly believe this about polyamorous or open relationships, or even when you see two people who you know will not last. Just admit you enjoy being intimate with each other, and that is probably your strongest connection. Remove sex and you would stop seeing each other immediately. Story 70. Women want to be taken care of, so it is generally easier for older men to make younger women happy, unless the younger women are frequently on social media. Women should give men opportunities to engage with them, as it is not and never has been acceptable for men to just approach and hit on women without clear signals. Giving men actual opportunities to understand the situation and act accordingly is important. If a woman is on birth control, it may affect her hormones significantly when she stops, potentially changing her behavior and personality. If a man does not have stable housing, income, or a vehicle, he may not be ready to pursue a relationship. Story 71. I actually agree with the original poster. Until my current relationship, all of my adult relationships have been with older women ranging from just a few years to almost 20. I always assumed that I liked the idea of a dominant older woman who knows what she wants. Wrong. If I honestly look back, I can see where my people-pleasing defect played into that and low self-esteem. I started doing the internal work on myself after a breakup last summer. We were together just shy of 8 years, and then got back into the dating pool about 6 months later. I went on a date with a woman who was 41. I was 36 at the time, now 37, and that wasn't the direction for me. A week later, I went on a date with someone who was younger than me. She was 28 at the time, and she was much more my speed. We have been kind of inseparable since, and both of us feel like we hit the jackpot. I don't think dating apps are that bad. You get what you put into them. My girlfriend said a huge part of why she messaged me in the first place was that I actually filled out a profile and answered the prompts. Interestingly, a decade ago I did fairly well with free apps and sites. This time around, I paid for one and used the free Facebook dating. The one I paid for was a bit of a bust, but I met my girlfriend from the Facebook one. Story 72. To invoke sexual attraction, one might consider sprinkling hints of narcissism, psychopathy, and Machiavellianism. Empathy, patience, and understanding are essential in a long-term relationship, but remember not to fall into the friend zone too early in the dating stages. Create suspense and a sense of scarcity. Story 73. I'll always be the prize in any situation where I'm dating someone. I have objectively great traits that women admire: 6 feet plus, in excellent shape, good looking, and with a great future, so I refuse to be with a woman who isn't on the same level. I hope to find someone equally yoked, but it's nearly impossible to meet women who are great all around and aren't just pretty airheads or spoiled brats who want princess treatment. If they want that, they can get it from one of their male followers. Unfortunately, many don't understand that men do those things because it's the only way they can secure women who are out of their league. It might be my ego talking, but I'm not going to fake that fake humble attitude. Story 74. Women who want to get married should say no to any sexual contact until they are married. This helps weed out men who only want to use them for their bodies. A woman and her partner should have open discussions about expectations and needs before marriage so that both people's needs can be met. This is not a single discussion but an ongoing conversation that lasts a lifetime as relationship dynamics change. I understand that this is not for everyone and not all women want a man or to get married, but I hope you understand my reasoning. Story 75. This is going to be unpopular, but slim men, can you please stop dating overweight women so that overweight men can finally have a chance? I am slightly overweight, so I should be dating a slightly overweight woman, right? Wrong. I always have to settle for women who weigh around 250 pounds and have a potato-shaped body because the slightly overweight women are with slim men. Story 76. Every woman in my state is difficult. I am just kidding, but it really seems that way. It makes me sad that it is like this. Even in the early 20s, it is hard. It seems like every woman my age is difficult, and the ones I know who are good are already taken, so I guess I am out of luck. Story 77. Save sex for marriage. Keep God at the center. Wait about 3 months before entering a truly committed relationship. Story 78. The culture shift around age gaps, specifically men desiring young women, is toxic. As I approach 40, I am still much more attracted to women half my age, and anyone considered age-appropriate feels insufficient. I have gradually realized I will probably need to try being a sugar daddy or using sex workers to find fun and sexual fulfillment again in life. The alternative of finding a best friend whom I do not want to sleep with holds no appeal to me. I resent that many people get offended by this or see it as the only normal option. Story 79. Women in the West are just not worth the risk, man, not even to socialize with. Why would I risk having to deal with someone who hates me because I was born male? Why deal with their delusional entitlement? Why risk getting in trouble for something I did not do? Just why? Seriously, I don't care what people say. I barely want to talk to women I don't already know, and when put into a situation where I have to talk to one, there is typically nothing I want more than to get out of that situation. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.